Good morning, everyone. This is Sunday, January 17th. Good morning. I do not have announcements this morning. There are no additional prayer requests to add to what we have in this morning's worship service. But I thought, and I have to admit, this is awkward and uncomfortable for me to talk about. But this week, as many of you know, there was racist vandalism committed against one of our Alliance school principals' homes. And I say a few words about that in our prayer time this morning as well, but I don't think that can be enough. I feel like I need to say a few more words. As awkward and uncomfortable as it is for me, and I'm sure it is for many of you, I need to say a few words about racism. And I want to be absolutely clear. Racism is sin. All right? I want to be clear with that. The Bible rarely, people in Scripture rarely noticed the color of people's skin. If they did, it was never recorded in Scripture. What is recorded is their nationality. Nationality made a much bigger difference than skin color. Now, was racism a thing? Sure. And we see other hints of that. But racism was often directed against Jews, or from Jews towards Gentiles, or from free people to slave people. But that wasn't always an issue of skin color. Okay, I'm sure that probably existed from time to time. But most notably in Scripture is the story in Numbers 12. In which Moses' siblings, Aaron and Miriam, were speaking against Moses because he had married a wife from the nation of Cush. He had a Cushite wife, which we may assume was a person of color, or a person of darker color, since Moses may have been of Mediterranean origin and may have already been what we would think of as a person of color. A Cushite woman would have been perhaps a darker color, maybe even what we would think of as African American. Well, they wouldn't have been Americans at all, so just African, black. But Aaron and Miriam were speaking against Moses because he had married a Cushite woman. This is racism. And Moses was a nice guy. Moses wasn't going to do anything about it. But God did. God afflicted Miriam with a skin disease, with leprosy. Moses pleaded with God not to let her die. But she was cast out of the community for the ritual of purification for 7 days before God would heal her and allow her to return to the community. In Acts chapter 8, verse 26, Philip meets an Ethiopian eunuch riding in a chariot who is reading a scroll that he had purchased in Israel, in Jerusalem, probably a month's wages at least for that scroll. Scrolls were horribly expensive, all handwritten by scribes. Perhaps as much as a year's wages were in that scroll. And Philip meets the Ethiopian eunuch, and he shares with that man the story of the gospel, the story of Jesus and the resurrection. And before that story ends, Philip baptizes that Ethiopian eunuch, who is undoubtedly African, without any consideration of skin color. The Roman Empire undoubtedly was full of people from all over the known world, people of all kinds of skin colors, because the Roman Empire spanned from England to Spain to Italy to North Africa to Asia and Turkey. Skin color didn't matter. What mattered was whether you were Roman or not, a member of the Roman Empire or not. Scripture teaches us that all people are of sacred worth. Paul says in Colossians chapter 3, here in the gospel, here in the church, here, Paul says, there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free. None of that exists. Here there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Just like the Roman Empire didn't care what country you were from, didn't care what skin color you had. The Roman Empire only cared whether you belonged to Rome or not. In our church, the only thing that matters is whether you belong to Christ or not. So I know. I have no reason to suspect that in the 2.5 years that I have been here at Christ Church, that any of you are racist. So why am I going to all this trouble? What do we do about it? Something has to be done. Apparently, it seems obvious that racism is alive and well here in our community, here in Alliance. What do we do about it? And here's where we have to be a part of the solution. We have to stand up. We have to speak out. We have to speak out more often. We need to speak out louder, because whatever message we're preaching people must not be hearing it. Racists persist in thinking that they are safe, and they persist in thinking that everyone thinks like they do. They will only know that they are alone if they hear from us, if they hear from you. Our silence allows racists to believe that their behavior is acceptable. It is not. Our silence allows racists to believe that everyone believes as they do, and we do not. We cannot remain silent and allow them to believe that we agree with them. We cannot be silent and allow them to believe that what they are doing and feeling is acceptable. We cannot. Racism is alive and well in our community, and so I urge all of us, all of you, I urge everyone to have a conversation at work, at home, or anywhere. Have a conversation about racism. Make sure that the people around you know that racism is sin. Make sure that they know that it's not acceptable. Make sure that they know that you do not agree with them. We must be the people who work for change. We must be the people who make our community better. Here, there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. I love you all. Let us be the agents of change to make our community better. Have a great week. God bless.